Hello, everyone. Hi, guys. Thanks for waiting. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Pia Wurtzbach, WWF-Philippines Ambassador, and welcome to the very first episode of Outside the Trash. The Save Our Planet webinar series aims to educate people how our food choices affect the environment. When we think about environmental issues, we usually connect it to pollution or deforestation. However, how we produce, consume, and dispose of our food actually plays a vital role in helping our planet. So, for today's episode of this live webinar, we will be focusing on food waste and plastic waste related to food. With the ongoing pandemic, food remains to be a great source of comfort aside from it being a basic need. Alam natin yan, guys, at aminin na natin, especially during the lockdown, a lot of us really went to food for comfort and to feel, to feel better. And a lot of us started making or baking food as a hobby. So a lot of us really got into food, whether you're making it yourself or you're eating it. So relate tayo dyan. At saka talaga namang masarap kumain. Pero we should also be more mindful of the food we waste and the plastic that we use when eating. So today, let's talk about how we can reduce our food and plastic waste. But before I introduce our speaker, can we do a quick location check with the audience now? Comment your location below so we can give you a shout out, guys, kasi live na live tayo ngayon and I'll be able to see your comments. Okay, so we have people from Quezon City, Las Piñas, Cabuyao, Laguna. Hi, guys. Manila, of course. Caloocan, Province of Masbate. Hello. Tanay Rizal. Uy, may Cagayan de Oro din. Hi guys. And international, Hong Kong and UAE. Naku, marami talaga mga Filipinos dyan. Hi guys, maraming salamat for joining us today. We also encourage everyone to stay tuned until the end of the program and listen intently to our speakers because we will be giving away prizes to the winners of our game. And we will be telling you all about a very special raffle that you can join. Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone's excited, so let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome WWF Philippines Sustainable Consumer Specialist for the Sustainable Diner Project, Lorraine Roque.
Hi, Pia. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Rain. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Okay naman.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Could you tell us more about your work with WWF?
Of course. So, not everyone probably knows that the work of WWF is not just focused on wildlife or animals. So, we also tackle a variety of environmental issues, and that includes issues related to our food. So, yung project that I'm a part of is actually called the Sustainable Diner Project, and it aims to connect the effects of our food choices to the environment. So we are working towards integrating sustainability principles into food-related national and local policies, food business operations, and the consumer behavior of Filipinos. So what does it mean ba, diba, to be a sustainable diner? So we're actually going to release a comic series to explain this na parang medyo mas fun, whimsical way, ganun. So ito yung first comic na i-release after this live stream. So when we hear sustainable diner, parang it sounds so fancy and complicated, ganon. Pero actually, very simple lang yung actions na nakaakibat sa kanya. Like buying local, eating more veggies, sharing your food instead of throwing it away, tsaka yung pagko-compost. So, kasi ang pagiging sustainable diner is all about embodying 5 principles. Conserving energy and water, using local and seasonal produce, reducing the use of single-use plastics, eating more plant-based dishes, and reducing food waste. So, yung 5 things na to, ito yung gusto namin i-highlight in this webinar series. Save Our Planet is a play on words of save our, as in iligtas, and Savour as in namnamin. So the aim is to educate on what it means to be a sustainable diner. So magkakaroon ng 4 episodes with the first one today focused on reducing our waste. So that's on food waste and plastic waste. Episode 2 naman sa February 26 will be on eating more plant-based dishes. The third episode in April will be about local sourcing and conserving resources. And the last episode in May will be a showcase of educational materials and knowledge products na dinevelop ng project namin. So it's going to be a very exciting year talaga. And we hope that you all tune in to learn with us.
Rain, di ba we also have a raffle for this webinar series?
Yes, actually, very exciting yung prizes in store. So, yung prizes na to, it's not just for the game winners for the episode today, but also for the raffle winners for the whole series. So, stay tuned until the end of this episode to learn how to join this raffle. Ayan. So, Pia, did you know that January is Zero Waste Month? So this was actually mandated in 2014 through a presidential proclamation in order to promote environmental awareness and public participation on reducing our waste. So medyo importante na maintindihan natin yung current situation ng Pilipinas when it comes to waste para magets natin bakit ba nag-dedicate ng isang buong buwan para lang sa basura. So in our country, we generate over 40,000 tons of waste every day. So to put that into perspective, no, that much waste can fill 100 Olympic-sized swimming pools every day. So the proper management of this waste is stipulated in Republic Act number 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. So this provides a clear policy framework for solid waste management. However, 20 years na siyang ini-implement pero medyo poor implementation pa rin siya. So madaming communities that are still lacking in waste collection and segregation, access to materials recovery facilities or MRFs, and sanitary landfills. So nasabi rin nga ng DENR na only 30% of barangays actually segregate collected waste properly. And as of 2014, only 31% had access to MRFs. So if we look at plastic waste in 2019, a study commissioned by WWF-Philippines revealed na only 9% of plastics are actually recycled. Tapos 68% are either leaked to the environment or disposed in landfills or dump sites. So mapapaisip ka no, na parang saan ba nanggagaling tong basura natin? So siguro inisip natin na for sure galing yun dun sa mga companies or businesses na nag-generate ng sobrang daming basura. Pero actually, majority ng basura nanggagaling pa rin sa bahay natin. So around 57%. So this is where we kind of see the problem na we as consumers, we throw away so much. Pero meron ding opportunity to cut down on the waste kasi since sa atin siya nanggagaling, then we have the power to reduce it, di ba? So if we classify our waste into types, we see na 52% is biodegradable waste, and majority of it comes from the food that we throw away. So the food being thrown away naman, it can be further classified into 2 types, which is food loss and food waste. So yung difference niyan is kung kailan siya tinapon. So if we look at the journey of our food from farm to fork, yung food loss nangyayari siya sa earlier stages, from the farmers until the markets. Tapos yung food waste naman, nangyayari siya sa atin. So that's when we buy it, prepare it, and eat it. So with food scraps making up most of the waste that we generate, wasted food is a very big problem in our country. So in Metro Manila alone, 2,175 tons agad yung tinatapon every day. But more than it being a national problem, it's actually a global problem. So all over the world, 1/3 of all food produced never reaches our plates. So ngayon, paano siya nako-connect sa environment, diba? Like, why should we care about out of all the biodegradable waste that we generate, most of it comes from food being thrown away. So kasi, kapag nagtapon tayo ng pagkain, unang-una, hindi lang yung pagkain yung nasasayang. So we also waste, 1, yung pera na pinangbili natin dun sa pagkain na yon. Number 2, yung ginamit natin na tubig or other resources para ma-produce yung pagkain na yon. Number 3 is yung soil nutrients na kinailangan ng fruits or vegetables. Number 4, yung transportation and labor costs that went into producing the food. And lastly, yung time, effort, and energy ng farmers natin, ng mga haulers, and everyone involved in getting our food to our plate. Second, when we throw away our food, tapos it ends up in landfills, nabubulok lang siya, di ba? So, ang bulok na pagkain ay mabaho. So, yung naamoy natin na mabaho na yun is actually a type of greenhouse gas called methane. So, when we talk about greenhouse gases, we always think about carbon dioxide kasi it's the most common. But actually, methane is more potent and powerful than carbon dioxide. So if food waste were actually a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases.
I see. So, Rain, ano naman yung connection nito? Because we hear about like greenhouse gases and climate change, but could you explain how it's connected?
Oo, actually, yung concept of global warming, climate change, and greenhouse gases, medyo abstract siya. So it's kind of a difficult concept to master. So meron tayong visual exercise na gagawin ngayon to better understand it. So if we're gonna look at this short video, imagine mo na ikaw yung Earth. Tapos space is very, very cold, gano'n. So, di ba, kailangan mo ng blanket to keep you warm or at a comfortable temperature. So actually, yung kumot na yan na nakabalot sa Earth, yung parang yellow, those are greenhouse gases. So in truth, greenhouse gases are essential to keep you warm. So without it, there will be no life on Earth. So ngayon, kapag masyadong madaming greenhouse gases, parang yung methane from food waste or carbon dioxide from smoke belchers, pakapal ng pakapal yung kumot mo. So from a thin, cozy blanket, ngayon parang naka-full-on comforter ka na, tapos painit na ng painit. And that's what we call global warming. And as we all know, global warming and its side effects like melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and intensifying natural disasters is what we refer to as climate change.
Ganun pala yun. So, what can we do as ordinary citizens while we're stuck at home naman?
Well, Pia, we can actually start with small steps. Kasi what matters naman is we start doing something, right? So we can start with tackling our food waste. So today, we're going to share with you guys 10 tips to reduce food waste at home. So una, we need to focus on how to prevent food waste in the first place. So simulat sa pool pa lang, pigilan na natin na magkaroon ng masayang na pagkain. So the first one to prevent is to give ugly produce a chance. So ang ugly produce ay yung fruits and vegetables that are oddly shaped or yung may imperfections. So bago kasi makarating sa atin yung pagkain, madami nang tinatapon na imperfect produce. Tapos kahit makarating man sila sa market, hindi sila binibili kasi medyo judgmental talaga tayo. Pero sa totoo lang, di ba? Parang yung products na to, they're just as safe to eat and as nutritious as picture-perfect ones. So, kailangan natin ma-let go yung unreasonable standards natin for perfection and give ugly produce a chance. Kasi, di ba, at the end of the day, it's what's on the inside that counts. So, this would prevent both a lot of food loss and food waste. So, the next one naman is to plan ahead and have a shopping list or meal plan when you go out to do your grocery. So, this will help you avoid to buy too much of the ingredients, especially yung mga madaling mabulok. So, the next one naman is to check your storage also. So, if you're on the supply side, this means na para ma-avoid yung food loss, this means checking that your storage equipment can handle your shipment of produce and the long travel time para maiwasan yung mabulok yung pagkain in the middle of transit. And then for consumers naman, for food waste, this means organizing your pantry para ma-avoid yung pagbili ng madaming ingredients na meron ka na pala or maiwasan yung mga situation na parang, ay, meron pala akong ganito tapos parang mga 5 years na siyang expired. So sa ganito, it's good to use yung first in, first out method or first expiry, first out method to avoid this kind of issue. So the fourth one naman is to know your serving sizes. So, applicable to sa bahay kasi since magkakilala naman kayo, ganun, you know how much each one can eat, di ba? Kung gaano katakaw yung mga kasama mo sa bahay. So, kaya nating mag-adjust accordingly pagdating sa serving sizes. So pag restaurant ka naman, importante na maging transparent sa serving sizes nyo para hindi bibili ng sobrang dami yung customer. So ma-avoid nyo din yung food waste. The next one is to be creative with your meals. So, madaming ways to repurpose leftovers or excess ingredients. Like, for example, saving yung vegetable peelings to make vegetable stock, or mag-explore ka ng food preservation methods like pickling or making jams, ganun. So, maganda siyang opportunity to explore new recipes. And the last one for prevention naman is to get the word out or sharing these tips with others. So prevention method siya kasi it creates a wider network of people na aware sa environmental impacts of food loss and waste and what they can do about it. So the second thing naman that we can do to reduce food waste is to donate. So we are actually encouraged to donate wholesome food for charitable purposes. So in the Philippines, na-formalize yan ng Food Donation Act of 2009. So kung corporation ka man or small business, household, individual, ganun, you can seek community-based organizations that are doing food donation programs. So madami dyan that are led by the church, by the LGU, or even by local businesses. So for example, in Cebu City, merong Project Smile from the Cebu City LGU. And then for Metro Manila naman, merong Food Rescue PH and Rise Against Hunger. Or you can also even lead your own donation program. Tapos mag-partner ka with the NGOs for you to reach the beneficiaries. So at the end of the day, what's important is to make sure that the food that you're going to share is safe, wholesome, and edible. And lastly naman, if there's nothing we can do anymore to prevent food waste or mabigay siya sa ibang tao, ganun, then we can at least divert it from the landfills. So we have two diversion methods. So the first one is to start your home garden. So madami ngayong plantitos and plantitas, di ba? So madaming vegetable scraps actually na pwedeng gamitin for starter survival garden. So you can try planting yung mga leafy greens, ganun, mga root crops, or kahit yung fruit-bearing trees, yung mga avocado, mango, etc. Tapos eventually, you'll be on your way then to be more food independent. The second tactic naman is on composting. So ito medyo very interesting topic siya kasi it connects our food back to the soil. So composting is the natural process of decomposing organic matter. So in this case, it's gonna be food waste. So decomposing it by microorganisms under controlled conditions. So madaming ways to do composting. So kahit na malaki yung yard mo or small space ka lang like a condo, mayroong appropriate method that could work for you. So I won't delve deeper into the details of composting kasi it's gonna be a whole, masyado siyang madaming details. So yung point naman is that in this process, food waste is not trash, pero it's considered a valuable resource for soil regeneration or building healthy soil. So dito natin makikita yung beauty of having a circular system in our food system. Kasi the food that we got from the soil can also be put back into the soil to create more food. So actually sa project namin, we have an ongoing project focused on composting. So it's called SoilMate, wherein we partnered with Green Space to create a mobile application that would connect restaurants to a composting subscription service para to help them divert their food waste from landfills and back to the soil. So kung may nanonood dyan na restaurant owners and you're interested in this, please do get in touch with their project coordinator kay Monique Mahusay at mwhusay@wwf.org.ph. Tapos ikaw naman, if as an individual, gusto mong mag-start mag-compost, then you can check out Green Space on Facebook to learn more. So there you go, Pia. Those are 10 easy tips to reduce food waste at home.
Thank you so much, Rain. Grabe, all the things you shared are very simple and easy steps, and the way you explained it also made it so easy for us to understand. I'm sure na marami sa atin, ginagawa na to, pero hindi lang natin nare-realize na, ay, nakakatulong na pala ako sa environment. I mean, just listening to you with the steps, parang I realized now, wait a minute, like I'm already doing that at home where, kasi I live with my cousin, so dalawa lang kami sa bahay, and then we don't stock a lot of food at home, and we actually really plan our meals based on what's already in storage. So in a way, parang na-realize ko, I'm kind of applying some of these already in real life. And I'm sure other people who are watching this feel the same also. But then, Rain, when we eat naman, hindi naman yung food lang yung tinatapon, di ba? Sometimes, or usually,
Mm.
meron ding single-use plastics. So when we talk about waste, laging usapin ang plastic waste. So could you share with us naman what we can do about plastic waste when we eat?
So, Pia, actually today we have with us right now Ina Gingona. So, she's the policy officer of WWF Philippines No Plastics in Nature Initiative and Plastic Smart Cities to share about plastic waste in dining.
Hello, Ina.
Hi,
Nice to meet
Pia. It's
you.
nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Okay, could you tell
Well,
us more about single-use plastics in the dining setting and what we can do about it?
sure, Pia. So, Rain, thank you for that presentation. I learned so much about food waste. So now let's talk about plastics. I'm sure everyone here is aware about the plastic situation. Alam niyo naman na plastic waste is a huge threat to our environment. We hear about it all over the news, sa social media, especially now, like Rain mentioned, it's Zero Waste Month pa. So, madaming talagang news about plastic out there. But do you know that it's become a global environmental crisis na? So there are 11 million tons of plastic that enter the ocean yearly. 11 million tons is equivalent to 11 million Honda Civics. To put that in perspective, the number of cars on EDSA per day is only 247,000 and nahahasa na tayo dun sa amount of cars, right? But so that's the amount of plastic that we have in the ocean. And if we don't do anything, this can even increase up to 29 million tons of plastic by 2050. So plastics also contribute 2.3 of the total global carbon emissions, or 860 million tons. I don't know if you know this, guys, but that is the same amount of the as the global emissions created through aviation travel. So all those planes out there are producing just as much as global emissions as plastic. So the situation is really bad talaga. Plastic also endangers 800 threatened species of birds, turtles, zooplankton, whales, and fish. This is so important because this fish is the fish that we consume. Microplastics have already contaminated our food sources all over the world, whether local or imported food. So, what are we going to do about it, diba? So, WWF's vision is to have no plastics in nature by 2030. So, before I go into our projects, I just want to explain how we plan to achieve our goal. To achieve our goal, we work on establishing the circular economy that you see on the screen. The circular economy for plastics is the key for solving the plastic waste crisis. Because as you can see, through this process, the value of plastics is maintained for as long as possible because there's constant reuse. And at the end of its life, it can be used again to create further value. This can bring huge, major economic benefits. It can contribute to innovation, growth, job creation, daming benefits talaga. So we use the circular economy model for all of our projects. And we work with all of the sectors, whether businesses or government, to reduce the use of unnecessary plastics. And so we push to increase reuse, recycling, and recovery, and ensure that any remaining plastic is not leaked into the environment. So we work with all types of cities in our Plastic Smart Cities project, not only to help these cities with their waste management problem or their plastic problem, but we also pilot plastic policies and waste management practices. And then these projects are scaled up and they're shared locally and around the world for everyone to know what they can do to help to help the plastic problem. So, throughout our policy work, we also lobby for the creation of a new internationally legally binding treaty that will specifically target plastic pollution and double global recovery of plastics. And locally, we work with our government champions and policymakers so that we can establish an extended producer responsibility scheme. So ano yon? This scheme holds businesses accountable for their plastic pollution, and it gives them incentives and helps them for funding. So in case they ever need waste management solutions or they just want a benefit at the end of the day to reduce their plastic use. So speaking of businesses, we also work with Plastic Action or PAC just to provide them with guidance, resources, and best practices. So here at WWF, we want to push for science-based decisions when reducing your plastic footprint. Already, as of today, We have at least 23 local brand partners, and they have collectively reduced the leakage of about 5.5 million plastic containers, bottles, straws, and cutlery just since 2019 alone. And then finally, we have the Ayoko ng Plastic movement because the work can't be done by just us. So we share plastic projects and encourage everyone to communicate and spark conversations, change behaviors, change mindsets, and hopefully influence policy with your own local government units. And so we have the we do this through our Ayoko ng Plastic community. We have a website and a Viber community with over 17,000 members where you can learn all about our projects and how to get involved. But okay, so back to the main point. What does this all have to do with dining? So, in order to eliminate plastics leaking into nature by 2030, we have to work with everyone. Dining, whether dine in, takeout, delivery, it produces a lot of waste, not just food waste, but plastic waste. So, the first step for restaurants and delivery service is to determine what the necessary and unnecessary plastics are. So, necessary plastics, it seems simple enough. It's those needed, not needed for product integrity. Sorry, unnecessary plastics are those not needed for product integrity. So, for dining in food, this would cover what you need for food safety. So, if you talk about food safety, some plastics are needed to keep food fresh during transport. Some plastics are required for medical reasons. So, it's all about what's necessary and unnecessary for each situation. So what's important is that you take the first step to identify the unnecessary plastics or the low-hanging fruit for each situation entirely, and then those can be eliminated completely. And then anything that may be necessary or sort of on the fence can be reduced. Those remaining, make sure that they're recycled. And then you can even take it a step further and replace or switch to sustainable alternatives. But what's next for plastic waste in the Philippines? So WWF, we have our policy work, and these cities that you can see listed here, like Las Piñas, Makati, Bacolod, Boracay, they all have laws in place, either regulating or banning certain types of plastic, right? Some single use, some others like styrofoam. But and some restaurants and businesses are all doing good work. But we, as in everyone talaga, not just WWF, we need to work on not only behavioral change but to push the government, the national government, to create policies and guidelines to guide businesses and give them the incentives to change and for them to rethink, innovate, and just do better for the environment. And so government participation is the key to solving this crisis. But what can we as a society do to reduce plastics? So, as I mentioned earlier, consumers and businesses need to do their part, and our current status quo is no longer an option. So, all sectors need to start their sustainable journey. Whether you're a business owner, a restaurant owner, or a consumer, you, we all need to start our sustainable journeys. So, for all of you already here, you took the time out of your day to learn more. So, I'm just going to give you 3 tips to reduce your plastic waste. So I have 3 tips for some sustainable practices that businesses and the average person can do with or without government regulation so that we can finally change the tide from plastic back to fish. So first, businesses should be at the forefront of the battle against plastic pollution. So lucky for us, lucky for the environment, some businesses are now taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're considering the interests of society and the impact of their activities on the environment whenever they produce a product or do anything. So and so this is already great, and some have even stuck these commitments despite the pandemic, which is amazing, diba? Kasi ang hirap siguro nun for businesses at the end of the day. But businesses can always do more. There are some businesses that still do not adopt sustainable practices. However, it's very easy for them to do. So businesses can provide options for consumers and innovate and even partner with recyclers for proper disposal or waste management. So what are these options? So these options can include, like for restaurants, QR code menus or cashless transactions, which might even be safer given the pandemic, right? So email and text receipts, water and refill stations, allowing people to bring their reusables, or setting up collection points for recycling or composting. So it's really easy for businesses to make even small changes. So, but we do know that businesses do have a hard time deciding, and sometimes they don't have all the information. So, this is why we also have the alternative materials tool to help guide businesses and find alternatives. So this alternative materials tool is a website created by WWF Singapore and PAC that I mentioned earlier, Plastic Action, and it helps guide businesses choose packaging materials, whether single use or not, that have a lower environmental footprint. But what's nice about this is that they provide alternatives without transferring the environmental cost to another system. So, but just a heads up, doesn't provide alternatives for single-use cups or cutlery or straws because we here believe that these are considered low-hanging fruit or unnecessary plastics talaga. So now, since we're talking about alternatives, we have tip number two. So tip number two, make the sustainable switch. This is something everybody can do. This is very easy to do for everybody. We have several partner brands with alternatives that you can see on the screen. So from cups to bottles, like we even have partners that sell shampoo bars instead of shampoo bottles. And so there are a lot of options talaga in the market out there. Some of them aren't even that expensive. They're very cost friendly and they're better for the environment in the long run. And you'll save money overall because one person using a reusable bottle can save over 1,400 single use plastic bottles in a year. Imagine that on a large scale. So, if everyone in the Philippines made that switch, we would save over 151 billion plastic bottles. Given the rate of recycling that Rain mentioned earlier of 9%, saving that many plastic bottles could make a huge impact in our fight against plastic pollution. But it's also important to note that we have to reuse these reusables in order to take less stress off of other environmental systems. So buy once, bring your own, bring that reusable that you chose, and reuse it for as long as possible. So this brings us to our last tip, tip number three. So every small effort makes a difference. So I know that everybody out there is thinking, oh, what can I do? I'm just alone. I'm just here at home. I'm not really doing anything. It's just one plastic bag or it's just one plastic bottle. It won't make that big of a difference, but it really does. So every small effort really makes a difference. So this January, we asked our followers to share how they plan on reducing their waste in 2021. So you can see the answers on the screen. So less online shopping to prevent plastic packaging, refusing single use items, choosing reusables, and supporting sustainable brands. So, what it comes down to is this: if your stainless steel bottle takes the place of 50 plastic bottles, the climate is better off. And if it gets used 500 times, it beats plastic in all the environmental impact categories. So, at the end of the day, one purchase will make a huge difference for your wallet and for the environment. So helping the environment is really a collective effort. And if everyone does one small thing every day or makes one small change for the year, then we can already take a huge step in reducing the amount of plastic waste. So let's do a quick recap because may quiz mamaya. Just kidding. Okay? So tip number one, businesses need to take charge. So we push for corporate level change in the fight against plastic pollution. So businesses can innovate, provide options, and also hopefully be supported in this fight against plastic pollution by the government. So tip number two, so you make the sustainable switch. So make the sustainable switch and reuse your reusables for as long as possible. We don't want to buy unnecessary things also because that's just creating more waste. And then lastly, tip number three, you can make small efforts every day because every effort counts. Like any change, like starting a routine, it's scary at first. But if we all take little strides toward change, we can solve the problem before it's too late. And it might already be too late but because we believe together possible. So thank you very much, Pia, Rain, and everyone here for taking the time out of your day for this webinar. I hope you learned something here and remembered some parts for the game later on. Maganda yung mga prizes from our partner brands. So if you want to learn more, you can contact me below. We offer policy guidance for LGUs, businesses, and even schools. You can also join our Viber community. Just search for WWF Philippines to get updates on our projects and get involved. So back to you, Pia.
Thank you so much, Ina. Wow, sobrang dami talaga nating pwedeng gawin about our waste. And all these tips can be done by anyone. Kahit ordinaryong tao ka lang or restaurant ka, capable talaga sila. Actually, we talked to two advocates of zero waste lifestyles and a hotel partner of the Sustainable Diner Project to tell us about their own experience with waste reduction. So guys, watch this.
Hello everyone, I'm Angel Mata Hamelan. I am the founder and the writer behind Low Impact Filipina.
Hi, I'm Gia Rubio Montserrat. I'm the founder of Buhay Zero Waste.
Hello, I'm Claire. I'm the IG manager of the Pico de Loro.
This journey, you can trace it back to my childhood as well. We were trained to make use of what we have, saving the resources. And I think that's where I really knew about zero waste. I was just unaware that it was called that way.
Noon pa man, nagtatry na ako mag-reduce. Hindi, neto lang siya na-define na, ay, zero wasting pala yung tawag doon. Kasi sa totoo lang, noon pa man tayo mga Pilipino, zero waste na talaga tayo.
Isa sa mga goal kasi ng Pico de Loro is yung katulong din kami sa environment. Ang aming property kasi is more on scenery. Dapat i-preserve namin yung aming environment.
Parang ayoko lang din dumagdag. Madami ng problema. Like, there's climate change. Sabi nga nila, mas maganda maging proactive. So, the most proactive thing that I can do is start within myself, start with my family. I am able to influence then others to create then the change. So, yun din yung paniwala ko na baby steps, yung mga ripples of change talaga.
I came across Bea called the Zero Waste Home for a decade. She was able to fit her plastic trash inside a jar. I was really inspired and motivated to do the same. We are familiar with the three R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. But for Bea Johnson, it should start first with refuse, refusing what you don't need. So when I learned about that, I became more mindful of the trash, of the possible trash that I have to bring inside my house.
It pays to be creative. Meron kasi kaming bake shop. Minsan, syempre may mga scraps din ng trimmings, ng cake, or ng cookies. They will create another product out of it, like compost cookies. It helps na marunong kang magluto ng sarili mo.
Our kitchen do the repurposing of meat and poultry scraps, also the fruits and vegetable peels, in which the products are also served as a side dish or as an ingredient for the meal we offered in the outlet and banquet.
I think it's a privilege where you can compost your own food waste, but I know that not everyone has the access to that. So what I do, I try to be an example of not wasting food and making sure that the scraps that we have will be delivered somewhere else wherein they can make use of it, for example, in the farm of my father-in-law. So something like that. So as much as possible, we avoid food waste at home. So that's the least that we can do right now.
Our kitchen staffs also do the collecting of fruit seeds from the fruits used in the fruit platter. So those seeds are to be used for planting in our 1,400 square meter vegetable garden. We already have 2 compost pits and 4 big bokashi buckets that can accommodate at least 1 week of our generated food waste.
Pre-COVID, pag namamalengke, may dala-dala akong container or kahit nga yung tub ng ice cream. Tapos, dun ko pinapalagay minsan yung mga meats. Ngayon, minsan nakikiusap na lang ako dun sa, kunyari, yung sa rider, I request na kahit nakabox yung kasi yun ang available sa may supermarket. Nire-reduce ko yung plastic waste by buying in bulk. So, kung kakayanin ng funds, o kaya makikipasabay ako sa kapatid ko, kaya mga alok ako, oy, bili tayo na ganito, hati-hati tayo sa ganito. So, para bulk pa rin yung bili. Actually, mas makakamura din. In a way, reduce din yung environmental impact of transporting that good.
We already replaced our single-use plastic materials into biodegradable materials. So instead of using plastic, styrofoam, and other disposable items, we use waste from natural resources in the property for our decorations in banquet, lobby, and outlet setups. In the guest lockers, we also installed refillable amenity dispensers for shampoo and body wash.
I thought that you have to buy all of the reusables that you need, but actually these reusables are already existing inside your house, inside your kitchen. So I thought that I have to discard my plastic tumbler and then buy a stainless steel one. That's why I thought that it was expensive to do zero waste, because that's what I see, that's what I saw on social media. So it should be the other way around. You should make use of what you already have, and then when the life of this stuff ends, this is the time that you buy for something high quality and something that you can use for a lifetime.
Pag nag-zero waste ka, you will always go back to mga whys. Mapapaisip ka kung kailangan ko ba to? Kailangan ko bang kainin to? Would it help my body? Would it generate waste?
Throughout the process of the implementation, our chefs and outlet managers reviewed the menus being offered in each restaurant. They replaced the slow-moving dishes. As food production is controlled, we reduce our food costs. For the last year, we already have money savings of more than 300,000 worth from our food costs.
Ang benefits po sa akin ay isa, nakatipid. Siyempre, less guilt din. Hindi na ako masyado nagko-contribute dun sa problem. Hindi ako perfect basta I'm doing something. Natututo ako maging masinop, maging mas accountable.
When I was introduced to this lifestyle, it really taught me to become mindful in general, mindful of the trash that I produce. I also became mindful of the money that goes out of my pocket. I saved more money because I became more mindful that, oh, you don't need that. It taught me to be mindful of my surroundings.
I think yun yung myth or misconception dito sa movement na to, na dapat wala talaga. As in, absolutely none. Sa totoo lang, we're all generating waste pa rin.
The tagline that I have is low purchase, low waste, and low impact. So I believe that if you want to lower your environmental impact, you should start first with being mindful of the purchases that you do. Before buying something, you have to please make sure if you can borrow it, if you can ship it, or if you can make it before buying it. Kasi it starts from there. It starts from how you spend your money.
You give yourself some patience. First of all, I have to be patient with myself, patient with the people. Then I give myself little steps, mga baby steps, na little by little. Ito lang yung magagawa ko kasi ito lang yung makakayanan ko. I think yung mga little steps na yun, it builds up then. And it eventually becomes a habit, and faith then na eventually you will get there sa goal na gusto mo. Siyempre, kanya-kanyang journey din naman yan.
So yun, low purchase, low waste, and low impact.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty convinced that avoiding food and plastic waste is very doable. So thank you so much again to WWF Philippines and our featured guests for all the tips, tricks, and motivational words to help us get started on our own zero waste journey. Kayang-kaya namang gawin, di ba guys? Okay, so I hope you listened attentively because at the end of this webinar, we are having a short game with prizes and we will reveal the mechanics of our raffle. But before that, we are now opening the floor for questions from our audience. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down in our comment section. And in the interest of time, we will be covering only 2 to 3 questions before we proceed to our very exciting game. Okay. I'll give you guys some time to put in your questions. Okay, any more questions, guys? Okay, so first we have a question What are the companies under the Plastic Action Movement?
So under the Plastic Action Initiative, actually, we have 23 local brand partners. So this includes Bellevue Hotel and Resorts, Lynn Boracay, Chibo, The Moment Group, Toby's Estate, Shakey's Philippines, Food Panda, Corksicle, and Fairways and Blue Water. So we really have a lot of companies, big companies, taking action against the fight of plastic pollution.
Oh, marami na rin pala, no? And I hope more restaurants, companies, hotels follow suit. Sana, mapanood nila to. So, one more question here is, do we have a partnership with the local and national government?
Yeah, so
For
currently,
sorry.
sorry, Rain, go ahead.
Okay. For the Sustainable Diner Project, yes, we do have partnerships with both local and national government. So for the LGUs, we're working mainly with our three project sites, which is in Quezon City, Cebu City, and Tagaytay City. And then for the national government, we have partnerships also with DOT and CCC and many other um, government agencies. So we work with them in creating policies that help integrate sustainable principles in the policies that are related to food naman.
So
Okay.
for
So,
plastics naman, ay sorry,
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry.
Sorry.
For plastics naman, so we work with the national government. So we work with the House Committee on Ecology and the Senate Committee on Environment. Also with the DENR, the Climate Change Commission, and with our Plastic Smart Cities project. So we have 5 city sites. So that's Manila, Davao, San Isidro, Island Garden City of Samal, and Donsol.
Okay, we have another question here that says hotels have the most food wastage, as in, and they have a strict policy of no donation and bawal kainin ng staff. Totoo to. Do they have a composting program para dito?
Well, actually, if you guys watch the video kanina, yung isang in-interview natin is from Pico de Loro. So it looks like parang nagsastart na magkaroon ng shift when it comes to how hotels treat their food waste. Kasi ngayon, meron na ring interested on how to implement their own food waste management system. So they're gonna track their food waste and then they're going to find kung saan nanggagaling yung food waste na yon. And some even do um, ways to reduce it while in the kitchen or while in the restaurants or the outlets. For composting program naman, yes, meron ding mga interested na hotels to actually do their own composting programs, especially if they have the space in their own properties. So as mentioned, si Pico de Loro is actually doing a composting program already. So meron na silang composting pit and meron na rin silang bokashi buckets. So this is a very good news when it comes to the hotel industry kasi it means na nagkakaroon na ng that kind of trend. So it's already starting here in the Philippines. So we're asking then for the other hotels and other restaurants to follow suit because this is gonna be the future of how we deal with our waste.
You know, that's so true because we are becoming more aware of where our food comes from, pero somehow we're forgetting where it goes after, diba? So that is an important question that we should be asking ourselves, and big hotels and restaurants should be asking themselves too. We have one more question here. When is the next episode of the Savour Planet webinar series?
Ayan. So, the next episode, guys, is gonna be on February 26, 4:30 p.m. Dito ulit sa Facebook page ng WWF-Philippines. So, I hope to see you guys there.
Okay, thank you so much, Ina and Rain, for sharing that information with us and answering questions from our audience. So, guys, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Our game is very simple, and this is just to test what you have learned from this episode. Rain will be asking the questions, and you will be given only 10 seconds to answer. Paunahan na lang pong itype ang answer sa comment section, and a WWF representative will be sending you a message on how you can get your prize. Okay, ready? Rain, I think we can start.
Okay, so guys, galingan nyo, everything that we're going to be asking was discussed during the session kanina. So, okay, so question number 1. So, number 1, what is the webinar series called? So ano ba yung tawag sa webinar series na to? So minention natin to kanina multiple times. So it's a very easy question. I hope you guys get it. So time's up and the answer is Save Our Planet. So 'di ba, I mentioned na it was a play on words of save our as in iligtas and savor which is namnamin. Okay, so I hope may nakakuha. So that's a very easy
Meron.
question.
Nakita ko, may mga nakakuha.
Yes, ang galing nyo guys. Okay, so don't worry, meron pa tayong 4 questions so you have more chances to win. So number 2, very easy ulit. What environmental awareness celebration is celebrated every January? So this was proclaimed by a presidential proclamation noong 2014. So time's up and the answer is January is Zero Waste Month. So ayan, so I hope may nakukuha sa inyo guys. Ayan. So for the next question, number 3. I gave you 10 tips kanina on how to reduce food waste at home. So can you give me 3 of those tips? So we need 3 tips out of the 10. Alright, time's up. Hindi ko na po i-run down ulit ang 10 tips. Magkaalaman naman po later ha kapag nag-review po ng answers. Ayan. So number 4. So kanina, si Ina naman, she gave 3 tips on how to reduce plastic waste. So give 1 tip to reduce plastic waste as discussed by Ina. Okay. Guys, magla-last question na tayo. So we have one last chance to win our very exciting WWF merchandise and products from our partners. So, for the last question, when is the next episode of the Savour Planet series? So, kakatanong lang to ni Pia sa akin kanina. So, I'm sure you guys all know the answer to this one. Okay, so time's up. And the answer is February 26 at 4:30 p.m. So, even if you say na Feb 26 lang, that's okay. That's considered. So, I hope that you guys got the answers. And as mentioned by Pia a while ago, someone from WWF will reach out to the winners to inform you how to claim your prizes. And then earlier, we mentioned na meron tayong paraffle, di ba? So ito yung mechanics niya. So for each episode, we're going to provide a Google form wherein you can submit your details to serve as your raffle entry for this episode. So isang entry lang for each episode. So if you attend all 4 episodes, you get more entries. Tapos more chances of winning, di ba? So yung prize natin will of course will be a surprise. But it will be a big bundle of WWF merchandise and other exciting products from our project partners. So for each episode, we will only accept entries until 12 midnight. And then sa end ng Savour Planet series, we will announce 3 winners. So that's on May 31 after episode 4. So please take note of the link and we hope to see you guys for our next episode.
Okay, I hope everyone was able to take note of the link for the raffle. And thank you, Rain. I hear na bongga ang pa-prizes for this raffle. So, sulitin nyo na mga raffle entries and attend all 4 episodes of the Savour Planet series. Okay, guys, but before we proceed, I'd like to invite everyone to support WWF-Philippines fundraising campaign, Project Silong, to help the fishing communities in the provinces of Albay, Camarines Sur, and Catanduanes, whose homes and livelihood were ravaged by Super Typhoon Rolly and Ulysses. In these challenging times, we believe that by working together, we can all rise above the crisis. Flash now on your screen are our bank account numbers where you can send your donation for our fisher folk. So, i-screenshot nyo na yan, guys, or kunan nyo ng phone nyo so you have a copy of it. To learn more about WWF Philippines and to find out how we can help #change the ending for the planet, visit wwf.org.ph or simply visit our Facebook page and click the Learn More button to support our environmental frontliners and partner communities. Okay, you see that on the screen. Well, that concludes the first episode of the Savour Planet series entitled Think Outside the Trash. We hope we inspired you to start your own zero waste journey, and we hope to see you again on February 26th for the second episode. Stay tuned on WWF Philippines official social media pages for other announcements on future digital events. This is Pia Wurtzbach, WWF Philippines Ambassador, now signing off. Have a great evening, everyone.